So, boy army, welcome to another one on the channel. In this video, I am discussing FIFA 22 custom tactics, player instructions, and how they work. There are a few changes to this FIFA. It's almost a bit of a hybrid from tactics from I think around FIFA 18, and then the way they've been the last couple of years. It's kind of a mix of both. So I'm going to go through them. For this, I'm going to recreate my squad because basically I don't know why it called my what you call it, team Ealing County. That was just the original name it called it. I'm going to recreate that so I don't change my actual custom tactics. I don't want to lose them, but you can see what they are in this. So, to actually go to the custom tactics, you press L2 in your squad, custom tactics. One thing I would do straight away would be I'd change your player roles here. I've not done that. I don't think captain really matters out of almost like a role-playing type thing. I like to just give it for someone who I think will fight for the badge. For me, I'd go for someone like Koulibaly. Players do have a leadership trait. I don't think it does anything in game. Could be wrong. Feel free to put it as someone like that if you want. For free kicks, you're just going to go for whoever has the highest free kicks. In this team, it's Dybala. For penalties, kind of obvious. Go for someone with high penalties. Immobile's got 98 penalties. He'll do. Corners, I like to have a right footer on the left corner to win swing. Insigne's good for that, got good passing stats, and he's tiny, so I don't want him in the box. For right ones, I want a left footer, so Dybala, again, not very good in the air. Just set those here because it saves you every single time you take a set piece, having to change it. Annoyingly, when you change a player in the team, it changes the player roles. I don't know why it still does that, but that's a thing. But you see so many times people having Hullet on the corner in pro level games where you have to quickly change it. Then from there, balanced is literally just what you see here. Your balanced tactic, if you change the formation in the custom tactics on balance, it will change this. So you can change formation here for chemistry. You do not want to change your balanced tactic. Balance literally is just to get chemistry, effectively. If you change the balanced here, you can see, look what happens. It changes it there, which is not what I want. I want to use this to get chemistry, so I don't really ever use my balanced tactic. It's literally just for chemistry. But then what you can do is you can change the other four and it will not change your chemistry. It will just change how the formation is in game. And then you press left or right on the arrows to switch to one of these in game. My philosophy on custom tactics is that I have two that are fairly generic ones I can use for the majority of the game. That's my defensive and my attacking. The defensive's not going to be a really defensive one. It's just going to be one that I can use for most of the game. My attacking is going to be a little bit more aggressive one of that. My ultra defensive is going to be when I'm late on in a game, trying to see a game out, I'll switch to. And then my ultra attacking is going to be a really aggressive one when I'm desperate to get back into a game, when I'm chasing it. My defensive and attacking right now are the actual ones I'm running. My ultra defensive and ultra attacking here are not ones that I'm using. I wouldn't use 4-3-3 for that. But we'll just mess around here so I can explain, go through the tactics. So you've got defensive style. This is the same as last year. Drop back effectively will just mean your players get behind the ball. They don't press very hard, so you might struggle to get the ball back with this, but it's going to be harder to break it down. Balanced is a mix of everything. It's balanced, literally what it says. Press on heavy touch. Effectively, your players are going to be a bit more aggressive. If it's kind of a bit weird, this one, but if they sense that your opponent's taking a bad touch or they're in a bad position, they'll get on them a bit quicker and just press them more. It's kind of a hybrid of balanced and press after possession loss. Press after possession loss follows the Pep Guardiola philosophy of when the opponent gets the ball for 7 seconds, or when the opponent wins the ball back, for 7 seconds afterward, they're at the most vulnerable. So as soon as you lose it, your team will effectively go into the constant press for 7 seconds. It does drain your stamina more the more aggressive ones you go, but this is a pretty good way of getting back the ball. And then constant pressure is just basically like having your players all out press the whole time. It's going to be a lot harder for people to play against this and keep the ball, but it also leaves you a lot more vulnerable. And it even says that this tactic may leave your team vulnerable as your players become increasingly fatigued, leading them to be pushed out of position. With this one, your players are going to be diving in, and if people play out of the press, you're going to be in trouble. The width is supposed to be how wide your defense will push. You can see here where you push your defense out wide, it's going to leave more gaps in the middle. I up my width in tactics where I'm trying to stop my opponents keeping the ball. So I use it more in aggressive tactics. Generally speaking, wing play is pretty good on this game, so you don't want to go too low on the width. But I also like to be quite compact, so I don't have too high width in general. One of the big changes this year is that last year you just had 10 bars. You went 1 all the way to 10. I'm going to assume that 30 on this is like 3 before. 40 is like 4. But effectively, you can micro adjust it a little bit more, which I like. More control over tactics is a good thing. For depth, this isn't exactly... This is a weird one that people get confused on. Depth isn't how high your defensive line is. It's how high your team will push. If you have 100 depth, your team will effectively start to press and push a lot higher up. It says here your backline will be high, but it's not actually how it works. If you have 100 depth and the opponent keeps the ball for ages, your team will still drop back. It just means they'll effectively try press and push the opponent back a lot higher up. If you have 1 depth, your team will start to press a lot lower. It will make you more compact, but it will mean you're not pressing as well. So depth is more in tune with basic how your team presses. Build-up play. This is the same as last year. It's the chance creation that's new and a bit different. Build-up play, balanced. I use that majority of the time. It just mix of everything. Slow build-up. I actually think that's new this year, to be fair. Players will support more in attacking build-up play rather than going on forward runs. This is almost built around possession, I'd say. Fast build-up. This one's going to be more for counter-attacking. Your players will push up a bit more, but leaves you more vulnerable to counter-attack. And then long ball. This one I always find is actually pretty good at getting out the press. Chance creation. We've got balanced. That's what I'm using for the most part at the moment. Possession. A lot of these kind of, you think, work more in tandem with some of the build-up play. I'm going to have to experiment, try a few different ones, see how they work. But for now, I'm using balance for the most part, and that seems to be working. Possession, last few years hasn't worked for me in the sense of all it's done. It's just meant that I just can't make any chances, and I get pressed, and my players aren't making enough runs. Forward runs, logically, you would think this one would work with the fast build-up. Your players will be more vulnerable to counterattacks, but it's supposed to make players make more runs. And then direct passing, you would imagine on this one is probably going to be suited to long ball. It says once the team enters the attacking zone with possession, players will create, it's not worded very right that, but players will create chances by making runs for passes into space behind the opposing backline. So yeah, you can mess around with these, try find what works for you, but for me I like bounce a lot. Width is basically how far out your players will basically move. Higher width gives you less men in the middle but more width. Lower width gives you more men in the middle. Players in box, very simple. The more you put in, the more players will look to get in the box for crosses and chances. The less you put in, the more players will be out of the box. Probably easy to keep the ball but less chances. Corners, free kicks, doesn't seem to do a lot. Instructions, we'll go to for one that has quite a few. There's different instructions for different positions. What's one that has a mix? We'll go with this one. For strikers, you've got the supportive runs, drift wide, stay central, bounce width. I tend to go with stay central. I like having my striker stay in the middle. Mixed attack, getting behind false 9 target man. I've never found false 9s work very well, but I've not experimented with these enough on this year's game. I tend to like mixed attack, and then on very aggressive tactics, getting behind. I don't really ever mess around with the interceptions. I don't think it does a lot other than change the stamina. But conservative interceptions doesn't seem to try press too much. Stay forward, I always put my striker, because if you put come back on defense, they did a thing, I think it was FIFA 20, where they patched it, where come back on defense doesn't even seem to work on your striker. You could go base defense, but I like stay forward just so I've always got that option. For the cam, I tend to like always putting come back on defense on any of my midfielders. Just makes me more combat. It just makes me more compact, harder to break down. I don't think the crossing runs does too much. I like stick to position. I want my cam staying in the middle as the orchestrator. Free roam, drift wide. You could experiment, see how that works for you. For midfielders, they have stay back, balanced, get forward, drop between defenders. The drop between defenders, that one basically means when you have the ball, they'll operate as another centre back. Bit of a weird one that. The other one's basically how far forward they'll make runs. If you have a really good anchor man, you might want him on stay back. I don't think support and crosses does a lot. Defensive position, cover wing is supposed to mean when your wings aren't covered, they'll go there. It doesn't always work that way. I quite like my midfielders to be on cover centre though, to always occupy there. For left mid and right mid, it's still got the defensive support. Chance creation, cut inside, stay wide, free roam. I don't really like cut inside too often. If I have overlapping fullbacks, I might go cut inside. Balance width and stay wide are what I would tend to use more. Free roam, could experiment with that. Supportive runs, getting behind, come short, target man. I don't really see why you'd have a target man on a winger. I tend to like getting behind or balance support. Getting behind is quite good on your wingers to do through balls and stretch teams. On the fullbacks, I most of the time go stay back because I want them to deal with through balls. If I play narrow formations, though, I'd like my fullback at least on balanced attack with the overlap run because I think that's just going to help me get width still. Inverted, I've never really experimented too much with that. Didn't seem to work too well in previous ones. Centre backs, I can't really see why you'd ever want to go play as a striker or join the attack. This is a new one though. On stick to position or step up and mark opposing attacking players tighter when they're free to receive a pass. That's one I might experiment with. I'll have to see how it works. And then for keepers, I like to go comes for crosses generally because it just helps you dealing with crosses. You don't want them staying on the line. And then sweeper keeper can be quite good at dealing with through balls. That's custom tactics on the new game. Few new instructions, few new bits on this tactics bit, and the numbers instead of the 1 to 10 on bars. Hope that's helped you guys understand tactics more and how they're going to play on FIFA 22. Appreciate you guys watching this video. As always, keep it spicy.